Uh, yeah. Uh.
Hello, boxing fans around the world. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Friday Night Panel, hosted by yours truly, Mike Orr. And I am joined today by my friends and counterparts here, none other than Neil the Deal and Lou Eisen. Yes, thanks guys for joining the Friday Night Panel, man. Let's get it underway. We're gonna get some talks in. Thanks for coming, guys. You wanna say hello to all the fans out there?
Hello, fans out there. Good to see you.
Yes. I guess we'll get right into it. I guess Grumpy Graham.
Hey, what about my
What's that? You
fans? I get to say something too.
I asked you if you wanted to, man.
I want to say hi all our fans, all the Talkin Fight hosts. I'm really happy to see you, Lou. Guys, thanks, Lou, for coming out. And of course, Big Mike
Happy
right here.
to be back.
Grumpy might go up, you never know about him. But anyways, thanks a lot for coming out, guys. We've been having a good week. And this weekend is going to be really good. Hey, Mike, it's one of those, I called it what, the Battle of Britain?
Well, there's some big fights going on this weekend. Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
There were some fights that happened this afternoon too that were pretty big. That we'll get right into and I guess just talk about and discuss. I don't know. Should we let the people know who won these fights? But I don't know if we should, but we could. I want to talk about Thorsland Luna. This one was set 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time today. This was set for a blockbuster event at Greggier Arena in Holstebro, Denmark. Champion versus champion clash featuring Dana sensation Dina Thorsland and the Mexican powerhouse Luna Avila. This one was set to go toe for toe for the WBC, WBO, and Vacant Ring Magazine World Women's Bantamweight titles. Thorsland, unblemished record. This 29-year-old, 19-0, with 8 of those wins coming by knockout. She just defended her WBO title for the 4th time, but also gunning to add 2 more world titles to her resume. On the opposite corner, Luna, also 29, holds the WBC title with a record of 25-3-1 with only 4 victories via stoppage. Luna's durability and ability to go the distance might give Thorsland a run for her money in that scheduled 10-round bout that already happened today. So I don't know, guys. You want to should we talk about? Well, Lou, what are your thoughts on this? Neil, what are your thoughts?
If we're going to talk about European boxing, there's several things we have to mention along with this fight, which is how fighters, the fight for Matchroom, keep getting caught, keep failing drug tests.
Right.
And I wanted to ask both of you. I read about it, but I didn't know how it started. Apparently, Ben Shalom, a promoter, and another promoter verbally attacked Eddie Hearn and called him all sorts of names and stuff, and Hearn answered back. I was wondering if you knew what that was about.
I know Graham was up on that. I wasn't really, I didn't really pay attention to that. I guess they verbally attacked him for all of his fighters, testing positive. Because let's be real, like, who was the last one? Alicia Baumgardner tested positive before her July fight, but then also tested negative 2 times after the fight was already already ended. So, it's and it's not the first time somebody at that the Matchroom camp is tested positive.
Robert Hellenius tested positive, Connor Ben, and
exactly.
Science doesn't lie. It's like math. So
exactly,
they're caught. They did it. It's a problem in the sport, and something has to be done about it. I don't know what advantage it gives them other than helping them recover quickly from workouts.
Yeah,
helping them recover quickly in a fight, but I mean, Eddie Hearn's guilty of it, and one test, one fighter once ever, you could argue, but 3 now, and rumors of more. I mean, that's not good.
No, it's no. It's not good at all. And what you're never gonna get rid of that blemish on your record either. It's a horrible thing for a boxer to do. It's just, it is what it is.
Hey,
the
way I see it is everybody has a choice in life, Mike.
Yeah.
So if they offer you anything, you can say yes or you can say no. Those are the answers. That's it. So
yeah, absolutely. And don't forget Jake LaMotta said to his dying day, when I died, they'll always remember me as the guy who threw the fight on purpose to blackjack Billy Fox. He said, that never leaves my record.
Yeah.
And he said, that's broken my heart for 40 years now. And everyone who sees me looks down at me because of it.
Well, as we all know, look at all the professional athletes in general around the world that have been, brought in front of tribunals, etc. Their careers have been destroyed. Haven't made the Hall of Fames. There's just so many things that have been happening in professional sports in general, from every professional league, and boxing is no exemption, right? They have people that abide by the rules, and they have people that don't abide by the rules. So the only way I look at it, right, is they're either going to have to have one side. Okay, if you're going to do this stuff, then that's where you fight in that division, in that league. And then if the people that are clean fight in that league, it's like having two Olympics or something. You know what I mean? For the people that do these things and the people that don't do these things. I know it sounds crazy. The athletes themselves are being forced to do it just to, like as Lou was saying and Mike knows, to keep up the pace, right? Because these athletes are getting so much better, and back in the day, hockey players did not train in the summertime, as we all know. We're not even going to get into that one, but you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Now it's 24 hours a day, the 365 days a year, and they're on major health issues like diets and this and that and training regimens and stuff, man. So it's a pretty big thing. And you know what? Professional boxing is becoming one of the biggest things again, thank God, right, Lou and everybody? We all know. And it's surpassed MMA now, like it always did. We all know, but kind of people just it's like a fad or something, I guess they'd call it. But anyways, I truly believe that I feel bad for the athletes, because you know what? If you've trained your whole life to become the best that you can be, and there's a guy beside you who's just a little bit better than you because he's decided that he's going to do something that's illegal, for you, right? Even look at Carl Lewis, man. How many? Carl Lewis won what? 14 gold medals or something? I don't know, for the USA, but he was he was no better than Ben Johnson. So that's all, you know what I'm saying? So
yeah, well, Neil, you bring up a really good point, because when I interviewed Nigel Collins, he used to be the editor of Ring and now writes for Ringside Seat. He's well known. He's in the Hall of Fame, boxing writer. He said, you're never going to get steroids out of the sport now. The sport's too wide. There's too many people in it. He said, not too many for the good of the sport, but too many people involved with steroids. He said, maybe the best you can do is come to an agreement where you allow steroids. I don't agree with this, but you allow steroids and control what fighters can take.
I think that's what they're doing now, though. That's why some are testing positive before the fight, but then after the fight they're testing negative. It's almost like they're timing it so that it's another system by the time they have to do the test.
Mm-hmm.
With it, that's along the lines you're saying. I think that's probably what they would have to do, like allow them to use it in these times, but they would have to clean up to get in the ring, which is not fair. It's still not.
No, it's not fair, because Muhammad Ali never used them. Neither did Joe Louis, and they had no trouble being beyond.
Sugar Ray Robinson, I don't think, was doing those things. You know what I mean?
Or Sugar Ray Leonard or Roberto Duran.
Well, that's debatable. That's all I got to tell you. Roberto Duran, well, he's on a different level, that guy.
Yeah, but I don't think he ever did steroids.
I don't think so. Not on that level, no.
No, and I don't think they're around in his time. But Babe Ruth used to go on the field hungover and still hit 3 or 4 home runs. So
well, sure.
When you said athletes aren't playing by the rules, that's not only in the sport, that's in general life. I mean, NFL, didn't the NFL, there's a second, no, Wander Franco, Major League Baseball, a second woman came out and said she was abused by him, beaten up. So these athletes, NFL, NHL, Major League Baseball, boxing, Adrian Broner did this. A lot of them just think the rules don't apply to me because I have a lot of money and I can do what I want. I can take steroids, I can beat people up, and nothing will happen to me. And that's just not the way it goes.
Thoughts on the low blow, guys? What are your thoughts?
That was a low blow, without a doubt.
Okay.
What? Really?
I'll tell you why.
Lou, when was the last time you got your glasses? Like a couple of years ago, maybe?
Yes, I do need to get new. My eyesight's not great. You are correct. You're correct. My eyesight isn't great, but the rules state And the referee said, and this is what the rules say, any blow from the top of the trunks down, even on the belt line, is a low blow. Anything up from the top of the trunks up is a legit blow. He hit half his glove. Part of his glove was on the where it said Usyk. Part of it was below that. But the pain was real. It went into his testicles. He wouldn't have. It was a natural reaction. And people said it was a solar plexus. Solar plexus isn't at your belt line.
No, man.
It's higher up.
Yeah.
So
What was that, Lou?
that is that was a low blow. It was borderline, maybe, but it was definitely a low blow. And he felt it. And after, when the doctor examined him, his testicles were very swollen. So,
Well, he shouldn't have been hanging out with those Ukrainian women the night before. That's
well, it was Independence Day. Come on, party.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He wasn't exactly just training the night before.
That's another issue. But I think there's a bigger issue, Neil, which people miss. Everyone missed the thing that I couldn't believe. Dubois, I thought, beat the count. He was up at 9.
He walked right up, and then they waved him off. I'm like,
I waved him off, but he was ready to continue.
Yep.
He looked at his corner. He took his 8. He stood up at 9, looked at him, and the guy called it off. And I'm like, that is ridiculous.
And that's what they've been saying for 300 years. When you go down, take a 9 count.
Yeah.
Take as much as you can.
Take a 9 count. What were you going to do? Take a 6.5 or not? Like, you got to take a 9.2.
Whatever it was, he did the right thing. He got up. He looked at his corner, which you're told to do. And then the referee waved it off. There was no reason to wave it off.
So Lou, Mike, guys, how do you explain that? Now, we've been dealing with these referee issues like throughout the year, obviously, and not just this year, but but it that kind of thing to me, like Lou, you probably watch like 5,000 fights, 10,000, 50,000. You know what I mean? That never happened when Ernie Shavers was fighting Ron Lyle.
One of the things is this. Back in the day in the 70s, like Foreman versus Frazier or Foreman versus Ron Lyle, you had referees who Angelo Dundee, for instance, didn't like Tony Perez. And Perez was a terrible ref. So I saw him stop fights that were ridiculous. And then Arthur McCanny refereed Foreman Frazier. And after the 6th knockdown, Angelo was at ringside doing the color commentary. He was swearing at McCanny. Are you an ignorant bastard? What's wrong with you? Does he have to kill the man? Foreman turned to McCanny and said, "You want me to kill him? Is that what you want?" And then McCanny stopped it. So now I think because of the death of Maxim Dadashov and other fighters recently in the ring, boxing's very quick. The referee's attitude is, I'd rather you be angry at me than have a death on my hands.
Grumpy Graham in the house.
Well, Graham,
Lou, okay, it is what's happening. Lou, they're not like these guys are not actually fighting at their full-on capability. They're just kind of lollygagging these fights. Like, sure, they're trying, but it's not like they're really actually trying. If you know what I'm saying, like they could actually.
It depends who. I think Usyk was trying. I couldn't believe all the verbal abuse he got after the fight online, which I discount most of that stuff anyways. And people saying, he's afraid of Fury.
Right.
It's the other way around. Fury ducked him. Usyk agreed to a 25-75 split, and Fury said no. I want 90-10. Fury doesn't want to fight him. Fury doesn't have the skill to beat Usyk. He went and fought a UFC guy. And yet they call
Ford Fiesta.
Yeah, they call Usyk, who fought for his country, they're calling, Fury's calling him a coward. If Fury's really believes he's the champion, then shut up and get in the ring with Usyk. Decide it. But he won't.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. It's like, to me, I'm just telling you, I've been watching so many of these fights, and to be honest with you, it's just like they're kind of almost in slow motion sometimes.
Right.
Lou?
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes.
They're not really actually like.
Yeah, when Frazier got knocked out by Foreman, he hadn't trained hard. Everyone said Foreman's easy. You don't need to train. You'll beat him in 1 minute. And then he underestimated him. He didn't realize what was going on. and he just it went to his head, and that still happens to fighters today, that they don't train as much as they should. And when I'm trying to remember who I was reading about recently, but
differently now.
yeah, they do. But still, when you have a guy like Duran, or there's still fighters today that we know of. Hector Camacho was one who, the night before the fight, he's in bed with 3 women. He's doing cocaine. He's doing and then comes into the ring. It's like, that's disrespect for yourself and the sport and the fans. But fighters still do it. They think my talent alone will get me there, and it won't.
We gotta talk about, okay, so the low blow took away from the actual low blows.
Right.
F.A. Jogba. Did you guys see those low blows?
Yes.
Yeah. That blatant disregard for the judges being right there and the referee. This guy did it to just not be in that ring. Mm-hmm. True.
Yes.
That was weird.
That's not uncommon in boxing. If you look at the early 1900s, late 1880s, all the way up to the 40s or 50s.
Wasn't Galata? Didn't Galata have one like that too?
Who was that? Oh yeah, Galata did it twice to Bo, and he was beating Bo by a wide margin. And fighters back in the 30s, 40s, or 20s and earlier, if they were losing, they didn't want to lose the title, and you couldn't on a DQ, so they would hit the guy low. I mean, Mysterious Billy Smith, the world's first ever welterweight champion from Digby, Nova Scotia, he had something like 18 disqualifications on his record, 13 for low blows in fights he was losing. He just said, I'm losing, I'll hit the guy low. Ad Wolgast, who beat Battling Nelson for the title, lightweight, he did that all the time. There was the double knockout. Graham's probably seen the picture if they're lying on the canvas together, because he hits Mexican Joe Rivers for like the 20th time in the fight, deliberately low, and Rivers connects with the right hand to his jaw, and they both go down. And after the fight, Rivers has a fractured testicle. So this is a common thing in boxing. But I remember Gil Clancy saying one time, what do you do if a guy keeps hitting you low and the referee doesn't do anything? And he said, the ref will never do anything. The only thing you can do is hit him back low. And Canelo did that with Matthew Hatton, Ricky Hatton's brother, when he kept hitting him behind the head and hitting him low. And so he started to do it back, and that stopped him.
Yeah, not the case. F.A. Jogba landed one in the second round because he had enough. Yeah, and then, by the fourth, it was done. Like, he blatantly gave him this low blow. I felt bad for Jogba because, he should have been able to go in there, have his head thinking right, first of all.
Yeah.
Taking all those shots to the nuts. I don't know how well I'd be thinking, but man, that that was one that should have been talked about. But honestly, the Dubois one, that one definitely took away from that. With that low blow, that was huge. Everybody's talking about that, but yes,
it wasn't a low blow, man. It wasn't a low blow. It was a good.
I think it
punch,
was.
And he lost the fight. Dubois won the lucky. Usyk's lucky.
I don't know. I disagree with that completely. I don't think Usyk's lucky. I think Usyk dominated him, and that was it was accidental, but it was definitely a low blow. And I think after their doctor confirmed that with the fact that his testicles were extremely swollen, and if it wasn't a low blow, he wouldn't have gone down like that. If you get hit in the solar plexus, it's not your testicles that hurt. He got hit on the belt line. And remember, the referee said anything above the top of his name where it says Usyk, anything under that is a low blow. So you hit him on that belt line, that's a low blow. The referee said that. That's what the rules say.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with the rules like you just said, but like I said, this is boxing. It's not tiddlywinks, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know. It happens all the time. Yeah. It happens in a lot of fights.
It's been happening since I've ever watched fights, and I'll tell you, if they stopped every fight because somebody hit him on the belt line, there would be no fights, basically.
Keep in mind what Dubois' camp and Dubois said prior to that fight, that he intended to win by any means necessary.
Yeah.
And he came out and said, by any means necessary. So I'm sorry. I disagree with you, Neil. I mean, it was a low blow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I thought it was a great punch. I thought he was done, did it, and that's what I think. And
No.
hey,
it was a great low blow.
Yeah.
No doubt about that.
a great low. Well, if I think it's a great punch. Period. That's just my opinion.
I got to tell you the story though. There was a fighter years ago named Fritzy Zivic, who was recognized as the dirtiest fighter of all time, and he had a flat nose. So if you look at him online, photos or even sketches, his nose was flat. He was such a dirty fighter. He fought a guy named Al Bunny Davis, a Jewish fighter in New York, and they told Al Davis before the fight, he's going to bite you, he's going to kick you and knee you, he's going to thumb you. And Al said, I'm ready for it. And they get in a clinch, and Zivic was brilliant at doing it where the referee couldn't see it, and he leans over and he bites his nose, like there's teeth marks and there's blood coming out. And Davis got so angry, he took a step back and kicked Zivic in the nuts. Zivic fell to the canvas, and then he stomped his head 3 or 4 times with his foot. He went and got the stool from his corner and started to whack him with it. And the riot at St. Nicholas Arena, all these people came into the ring, and Davis was suspended for life. But then a year later, his brothers, who were part of Murder Incorporated, went to a visit to the New York State Athletic Commission, and the ban was lifted. And Zivic, to his credit, said, hey, you know what? I thumbed him in the nose. I kneed him in the nuts, and or in the eye, thumbed him, and I bit his nose. My teeth marks are still there. So I kind of deserve that. But so this is nothing new in boxing, But what I wanted to ask Graham, what was the deal with, what did Ben Shalom say about Eddie Hearn that got Eddie Hearn so upset?
That's a really good question. I've got 7 or 8 different Eddie Hearn stories lined up.
Okay.
Ben's not one of them, quite frankly.
Oh, okay.
But it's been an interesting week in boxing, quite frankly, within the industry. Because you've got what's his name? I can't remember his first name. Shar.
Manuel Char, yeah.
Being named the heavyweight, the regular heavyweight champion.
That's ridiculous.
Totally ridiculous. Sorry, so someone was going to say something.
And then you're going to have the mentally disabled heavyweight champ, and then the visually impaired heavyweight champ.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, this is ridiculous.
Right. So
only one world.
So yes, there's been a huge debate between fans online about why don't we just remove that title, air quotes, and that's what they should do.
Yeah.
And then the manual chart he's not going to make any difference in the heavyweight division, quite frankly.
Never has.
But within that heavyweight division, there have been some good stories to report this past week especially with respect to Top Rank. I mean, I know we all kind of don't really like Bob Arum at the end of the day, but whoever else is managing that company is signing a lot of really great fighters, and among them are some new heavyweights that will be fight. So I'm just saying, and this has been an ongoing debate between us, but the heavyweights in America are really rising internally, shall we say, in America. And the English tend to ignore all this. I mean, you've got we've got Zhang and Joe Joyce coming up pretty soon.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right. And
yeah, it's English are always like that.
Yeah.
English always. You watch these English announcers and you think, what are you watching?
Yeah, exactly.
Your guy dropped the second time. Well, that wasn't a legitimate knockdown. It's the second knockdown to the chin that he got. I mean, how can you? You just can't believe what you're hearing from him.
Right. So I was very interesting to watch the progression of stories this week with respect to like who's actually doing something. I'm talking specifically about the heavyweights, but who's actually doing something in the division to shake things up, so to speak, right? And who is not. And quite frankly, what is Matchroom doing? I mean, no, I don't hate to say it. I'll say it. Eddie Hearn's out there defending what are they called? The VADA, whatever that drugs association is over in England. You know,
Yeah,
I mean,
voluntary.
yeah.
Yeah, it started in the States, but yeah, that a
So
voluntary whatever
he's
drugs.
had 3 fighters that I can name, you know, who are now up on these, trying to clear their name, quite frankly. And yet here is, I think it was because, was it Hellenius? Was he making the comments because of
Yeah,
Hellenius? But anyway,
Helenius, Baumgardner, and Connor
right,
Ben.
right. So here you go. You've got Matchroom's got their. I hate to say it, but are they really just feeding these guys? Here's what you're going to say when you get caught. If you get caught, here's what you're going to say. I didn't do it. I didn't do it. But we all know from Ben Johnson's case that at the end of the day, you
Hey,
get
Well, how
caught.
about Lance Armstrong?
at least,
Remember him?
Oh, good point.
He gets sponsored.
Right, but it's what we said before. Science and math don't
Exactly.
lie. You don't have to like me, but 2 plus 2 equals 4, whether you like me or not, or whoever you're going to vote for. And Graham has it bang on. My father would tell me, and I'm sure we all heard this from parents, but my father would say, if you get caught lying, just admit it and don't do it again. Stop saying I'm sorry and stop denying it. Just say I got caught. I was wrong. I'm guilty. I'm sorry. I won't do it again. But he can't do that. He keeps doing it. And we were saying earlier, Graham, you get one fighter caught once over a 10-year period, you may have some wiggle room. 3 guys, 3 people within less than a year that we know of, that's a pattern.
Right.
So Lou, is that an insinuation, Lou, that there's some sort of conspiracy involved with them letting their fighters knowingly use the performance enhancing drugs, and they're actually
I don't know if I
feeding
call
them
it
these things
conspiracy,
or no?
but I would say it's Matchroom policy to give their fighters advantage any way they can, and one of the ways to do it is, is through performance enhancing drugs. What makes me laugh is they're not good at it. They're inept because they keep getting caught.
Exactly.
There's a way to do it, and in the right time to do it, where you don't get caught. Because regardless of how savvy Vada or anyone else is and catches drugs, there's always more people out there inventing better drugs and knowing how to beat the system. But apparently Eddie Hearn won't pay those people.
Yeah, that's it right there, guys. They actually create better things to mask things, and they'll say, "Oh, I used this specific toothpaste when I was in somewhere," and they try to blame it on a cold medication or a toothpaste or whatever, right?
Canelo blamed it on food he didn't know had drugs in it.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
It's like going on a subway car drunk and swinging a bottle at someone, saying, "I didn't realize there were other people on subway cars." Well,
exactly. There you go.
Whatever, you're responsible under the law in Canada, States, Britain, anywhere. You're responsible for what goes into your own body. It's that simple. You're responsible. To suggest that I didn't do it, someone else gave it to me while I went out to have dinner, that's ridiculous.
So what's funny out of all of this though is that Eddie Hearn wants Hellenius to go toe to toe with Usyk. That's the funny thing that comes out of all this.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah,
really?
I'm not kidding you. That's what Eddie Hearn at a recent press conference. Eddie Hearn said, that's who Usyk should be fighting, Hellenius.
Wow.
So
Eddie Hearn's a moron.
I was going to say, does he need a brain transplant at the same time, or what is he? Really?
That's a good point. His fighters get hit, but he's got the brain damage. His father had class. He's got none. No class. He's just looking at the almighty buck. Hellenius doesn't go to distance even remotely.
So what, is he like the new, he's the English Don King? Is that what we're calling him now? The English Don King? Has he killed anybody recently, Lou, that you know of, maybe?
No, but
you never know.
He's helping
Don. We all know about the, Don, right? The Don.
Well, there is one more. There is boxing on tomorrow, guys, that we are going to watch. We all know.
Eubank Smith, great undercard, by the way.
Yeah. Great undercard. Guys, this one,
big one.
I saw the first one. I don't even think there should be a rematch, to be honest. But
I agree.
Yeah, this is the British. This is a great example of the British thinking they rule boxing. Okay,
yeah, like you know what, Smith whooped his ass. Let's be real.
Yeah, it wasn't
in
close.
The first fight, Smith
Just wait. So
Mike didn't whoop his ass, Mike. What?
Yeah, he did.
Yes, he
Smith
did.
whooped his ass. Mike, you're bang on. And
Yeah.
it was a definitive knockout. It wasn't
definitive.
close. It was definitive. It's
The
not like it's a disputed decision.
Lou. Even the old shiver.
No, man, listen.
No.
The previous face-off was back in January. We witnessed Smith with 2 spectacular knockdowns. He brought that energetic brawl to a halt just 1 minute into the 4th round. Eubank Jr. was unsatisfied with the referee's decision, and he wanted to overturn his defeat. So he's here to rematch this. He doesn't believe that that it was the way that we all saw it, because I don't know, the fight that I watched personally, Smith brought it to him and brought it to him hard. And Eubank.
The fight I saw.
Knockouts are definitive. It wasn't disputed. Yeah, it doesn't matter if you win every round beforehand. That makes no difference in boxing.
No, man.
You know what? You could dominate a hockey game for 4 overtime periods, but if the other team scores, you still lose. Right. He may have dominated the first couple of rounds. He got knocked out. Knockouts are definitive. If it's a controversial split decision, then you have an argument. And Eubank said, "Well, I wasn't satisfied with the referee's decision." Well, you know what? Who cares what you're satisfied with? The referee's decision referee doesn't care whether you're satisfied or not. You got jobbed twice. If you weren't satisfied, then don't get knocked down and knocked out. Then rally and beat the man. You couldn't do it. You don't have the skill set, and you're going to get beat worse tomorrow.
Yeah, he is.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that what you guys think?
Yep.
Oh yeah. Second time around's always like
that. I'm the lone wolf here on the Eubank side of the world.
On the undercard, I got to talk about it. We got 2 belts also up for grabs here. We got the British super middle. We got the Commonwealth super middle. Mark Heffron is taking on Jack Cullen. Also on the undercard, Adam Azim is on this one. He's 8-0, looking to keep that undefeated record. He's taking on Aram Finnan, who's 23-1. So this is a little step up fight for him. Fraser Clark's on it, taking on David Allen. Michaela Mayer taking on Sylvia Bortot. Yeah. And Lauren Price also on the card. Love this girl, man. 4-0. She's taking on I think it's Lolota Mazia, and Frankie Stringer is on it, taking on Ingel Gomez and Florian Marcoux, man. Love this kid. Florian Marcoux, Dillian Moran. I think this one's the opening fight.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Florian Marcoux, this guy, the Albanian king. He's also friends with Rashad Mati. We've had Mati on the show before. These guys got a huge following. This guy's great to watch, man. Really, really energetic, really exciting fighter.
There's so many great young fighters in every division.
Yeah.
It brings me to tears, because when people talk about the sport of boxing and as compared to UFC or whatever, or people say, hey, what fighter should I watch? I'll just say, you know what? Turn on a card somewhere. There's going to be someone great on it that'll just blow your mind away.
Oh, yeah.
From all over the world.
And I built my whole show off that. I built my entire show off of following these kids, man, and putting them out there. And now these kids, which you tune into the show because the Where Are They Now is going to start on Knuckle Up, where I'm going to show you where these kids are now that I talked about 2 years ago. Headlining cards right now, still undefeated, wearing belts, wearing multiple belts. These guys, man, the future of boxing is here today. It's already here. You just got to open up your eyes and watch. And you know what? Watch my show and I'll show you who to watch, so you don't have to worry.
That's one of the things I love about your show the most, is because in 2, 3, 4 years from now, you're going to say, no. You can't say he came out of nowhere, because 4 years ago, I said to you he was going to be a world champion, undisputed. Yeah. I told you that. And what you're saying now to me is what should be said to the media, not just here, but in the States and all over the world. You're ignoring something great going on. And these are fighters that count and deserve to be known and deserve to be remembered.
Yeah, there's some great ones.
Absolutely.
And their names are coming up through those rankings. People are starting to hear them. That phantom. Oh, what about this guy? What about this guy? Well, who is that?
Right.
Right. Well, this guy was dangerous 2 years ago. Now he's a lot better and even more dangerous. And now these guys are now, getting signed to the big guys. Top Rank, Golden Boy, Matchroom.
Oh yeah.
And they're starting to, show that they're exactly what I said they were going to be, champs.
This reminds me in the early 90s when Angelo Dundee called me and said, there's a young kid named Costa Zoo who's a Mongolian fighting out of Australia. You got to watch this kid. He's unlike anything you've ever seen before. And boy, was he ever.
Oh, yeah.
Now we're watching his kid.
Yeah. I love this
His
kid.
two kids, actually, now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Zoo would destroy Charlo. And I think Canelo's going to destroy Charlo. And I want Charlo to be destroyed because when he went for the Spence Crawford fight, there was this 7-year-old woman on the floor. I mentioned this, who was saying, "Can I see your tickets? I'll show you to your seat." And he physically shoved her. That's no class. That's a bum.
Right.
Wow.
And Spence Crawford today agreed to a rematch.
Yep.
And people keep saying, I can't. This Russell Peltz, the Hall of Fame promoter, posted today.
What?
Russell Peltz said, I'm so sick of all this online revisionist history by young kids who know nothing about boxing. Keep it to yourself." And everyone posted, well, Spence will win because it's at 154. And only one person I saw posted, sorry, Crawford won last time. He decides the weight class, not Spence. Crawford decides, and he'll probably pick 147.
Yeah.
And Spence can't make that weight. And
Yeah.
he took a severe beating last time. He'll end it. It'll be ended. His career will be done after this. He'll take a worse beating.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure because that rematch clause has been initiated now, that eliminates Crawford from tackling whoever's going to win that Canelo fight. So,
Right.
And quite frankly, I don't think he'd be able to move up to 156 or something. There's no way.
154, but he talked about fighting Canelo at 168. That's a 21-pound
Right.
top. That's impossible. I mean, I could gain that much weight, but I couldn't fight.
It's not impossible. Roy Jones Jr. did it, Graham. We all know.
I could lose that weight and still not be able to fight.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's impossible, but I'd be curious to see if Canelo can win. First of all, I mean, he's just at that age. I mean, he's done a lot. He's done. That's fine, but I mean, everyone argues left, right, and center how he's successfully picked his opponents based on their styles. Fine, fair enough. At the end of the day, could he beat Terence Crawford at the end of the day? I'm not so sure. But the question is can Terence Crawford build up that muscle and go fight him, as Lou says, at like 168 or whatever? Like, and my answer is no. It's not going to happen. So we anyway, it won't happen because the truth. Errol Spence has initiated that rematch clause. So,
wow.
Yeah, I see so many things on the internet. Like someone said, I love to see Gervonta Davis take on Arthur Beterbiev, and I thought, so would Arthur Beterbiev, but I think the 45-50-pound weight difference might be
I think Tank would probably be like the
everybody forgets he's such a small guy. Everybody forgets that Gervonta, like Tank Davis, is a tiny guy.
Yeah,
a tiny guy and a great fighter.
Yeah, great fighter, tiny guy though, tiny guy.
Yeah.
Like he's not a 6-foot dude walking around here.
No, and a lot of these guys, Willie Pep, Michael Carbajal, Scotty Olsen, a lot of these guys, when you meet them in person, they're not that big, as opposed to when you meet a George Foreman or back then Norton or Ali, then you look up and you go, my God, he's big.
Yeah.
But yeah, the lower weight classes, these are all tiny guys.
Yeah.
They just, I mean, Chocolate Tito's a tiny guy, just an all-time great.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, exactly. They look bigger. They look bigger, like everything on stage, if you know what I'm saying, right? You're watching them say, yeah, and you're like, oh, that guy's, when you're actually standing beside them or you're in the same vicinity of them, you're thinking, wow, this guy's like a horse jockey or something, right?
Well, one of my heroes was Art Hafey. He knocked out Ruben Olivares, who I consider the greatest bantamweight of all time, along with Carlos Zarate. And Art was a featherweight. And so people meet Art all the time. Art was rated #1 in the world, above the world champion who wouldn't fight him. as featherweight in the 70s. And people say, oh, I met Art in Halifax a couple months ago. He's like, what, 6'2"? I said, he's 5'3", 5'4". No, he's 6'2". And I said, fighters project bigger because of who they are and what they do. But Art's a tiny little guy. He just happened to be able to punch like a middleweight weighing 125 pounds.
Right.
You know, he put a lot of guys in the hospital because he was a tremendous puncher. But yeah, these guys are tiny, a lot of them. But it's the skill, not the size of the guy. It's the size of the fight in the guy, not the size of the guy in the fight.
Did you happen to notice the news out of Montreal? I know we've spoken about the Montreal boxing scene before, but in particular, I have the Tiger management have signed yet another Russian-born Olympian to their roster. I don't know if you guys noticed that or not. It kind of slid under the radar.
Yeah.
But yeah, Iman Kadyrov, he's 3-0. I mean, nothing to scream and shout about. But at the end of the day, it's interesting what Eye of the Tiger is doing. Under the radar. I like Mary Spencer, and I hope she does well with Eye of the Tiger. I mean, that's about where it ends for me. But I do like what Eye of the Tiger are doing. They're kind of shaking things up. I mean, we were talking about Better Biev before, and at the end of the day, I'm saying to myself, wow, I mean, I wonder. And then lo and behold, they go and sign another Russian-born boxer. So anyway,
they know talent, and they have Mark Ramsey there.
Yeah.
And often they have Russ Amber, and they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
And they're developing a lot of talent. And don't they have that guy, Graham, who I mentioned I saw recently, that big Russian heavyweight who was
Mike? What's his name again, Mike?
Oh,
yeah,
Magmadulov
or something.
Yeah,
Magmadulov.
Yeah, and he beat that Nigerian guy in like 3 rounds. And
Laid him.
He did. And
Arslanbek.
Oh, that's it.
Magmadulov. Arslanbek Magmadulov.
Yeah. That sounds like a curse word in some language. Arslanbek Magmadulov. Same to you, buddy.
He moves,
definitely a mouthful.
The way that guy moves across the ring is just he's like just a giant rugby player. You know, he's got the speed. He's got the speed, and kind of like a Joe Joyce should be. Same kind of style, that explosive powerness, being able to move that big 270 pounds across the ring real quick. The guy just swarms you, and you can't stop a guy like that. It's hard to fight a guy who can outweigh you, tower over you, and lean on you when he gets tired. So and he never
outquick you.
Yeah,
he's just he's too fast. Joe Joyce is a good case in point. He's very static as a fighter. And he fought the wrong fight against Zhang. He needs to move more, but I don't know because he's much older if that's really possible. Because I know Tim, if he was here, would disagree, but not what Joyce has shown us so far. He can't move like that. That's just not him.
He showed that he has speed though in his hands when he wants it. Like when he wants, he can unload 8, 9, 10, 12 punches, no problem. And it's almost like his whole game plan is like reserving the tank, because when you see him at the end of a fight, whether it goes a distance or not, it's very rare do you see that guy profusely sweating. It's just like a small little bead on his forehead. He looks like he just went a sparring session. He could go a couple of more rounds. Looks like he could go another fight sometimes. Sometimes I think it's just his game plan, the way he wants to draw it out. But if he was able to put that kind of speed and ferociousness behind cutting that ring off and really bearing down on these guys, that guy would be unstoppable. He's got
I agree.
Ahead of granite. Like you can't, you can't. The only thing you can do is make his eye close and disqualify him, because I haven't seen him in too much trouble.
No, I've never seen him get staggered even. And you and I, we've all seen him take hellish shots to the chin.
Yeah.
And he just, shrugs it off, keeps coming forward. I mean, Dubois really tagged him.
Yeah.
But just kept coming forward. If you can just put a little movement in there to go along with that, and especially get his head off the line, it really give him much better advantage in the ring.
Definitely. There was a fight this afternoon as well. Besides the Dina Thorslund card, there was also the Arthur Shiraz card. Lyndon King Arthur, Brian Shiraz. Wanted to let you guys know Shiraz failed to make weight and could not win the title. And
Whoa.
honestly, I'm just gonna let you guys know, man. Arthur KO'd him. So
Oh yeah, Arthur took him down, eh?
yeah, Arthur KO'd him. So that's how that one ended out. There's some young up and comers on this one. The undercard was full of guys who were literally like sub 10 fights. Opening up with Alex Murphy, who is 8-0. And honestly, we got Cody Smith, Ashley Maron, and Neil Felding. They're all like 2-3 fights under their belts. They're the fun ones to watch. You know, the guys you get in there and just, you know, they give their all because they're trying to impress. And then Ben Marksby was also on this one, taking on Jordan Elson. Marksby penalized points for low blows in rounds 3 and 4. And Marksby still came out with the points win on that one. So,
yeah, you know, not making weight is a lack of discipline.
yeah.
And there's no excuse for that. I mean, if you can't make that weight limit, then move up. But if you can, there's no excuse for not making it.
And especially like this is for the vacant belt, especially when you're 18-1. You've done this 19 times already. There's no excuse. There should be no excuse why you're missing weight in a championship fight. Like you're fighting for a belt. That's sheer lack of discipline.
It's completely irresponsible as a professional athlete, to be honest with you, to not make weight. That just doesn't make any sense to me.
Don't make weight.
Are you in the fight or are you not in the fight? Well, obviously you're not. You're not even getting fight now for the title. Right?
In the 1960s and 70s, George Chuvalo's time, fighters were always in shape because you never knew when a fight was going to fall in your lap.
Right.
You never knew when somebody would call and say, "Hey, I got a title shot for you in 5 weeks," and they still do that now.
Yeah.
And fighters will often say, "Hey, I need 2 months or 3." No, you got 5 weeks. That's it. And so it pays if you're a professional fighter. That's your job. Your job is to be at your weight, in shape all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I saw something recently, guys, that was pretty intriguing. Mike, you probably know about this because, you know, and Lou probably does too. But Mike Tyson fought 15 times in the first year of his career. And there's a bunch of other big older era of fighters that guys were fighting 15, 17, 18, almost 20 fights a year. Now we'd be lucky to see these guys maybe once or twice, as you know, Lou. And you know what? Mike Tyson, just think he fought 15 times in his first professional season of pro boxing. So there, what's that
true. He mostly fought stiffs, but he still was in there fighting. Harry Greb, the great middleweight and light heavyweight champion, near the end of his career was averaging 41 fights a month. And
what?
He was blind.
At 2 a night? Well, at least 1 a night.
Yeah, he was blind in one eye. And
no doubt.
The early 1900s, late 1800s, early 1900s, the capital of boxing was not New York or England or Vegas. It was Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada, because you could get a boxing license there to put a show on anywhere. There were no rules. And so fighters came from all over the world to Winnipeg because rather than fighting, you know, once a month, you could fight 3-4 times a week, every week. And so consequently, guys got really good really quickly. And so then they could move down to the States and take the big money. So today, guys don't fight often enough. But then, you know, I mean, Usyk's fighting a lot. Jared Anderson is fighting a lot. And yeah, I mean, some guys still do. And Tyson was the anomaly.
Yeah.
There was a big list there. Sorry, guys, but if Graham or one of you guys, I might be able to find it. We'll talk about it later. But I was surprised that those guys, like on that list, I'll know, actually fought 15 to 20 fights a year for the first 2 years of their career. That would be like 40 fights, and then all of a sudden you're in what, 5 title fights, I guess, or what? You know what I mean?
Well, here's something for you. From 1887, George Dixon, the first black man from Nova Scotia ever to win a world boxing title. He died in 1908. He fought till 1906. He had 800 fights, and most of it listed
800.
Right. So most of it's listed on BoxRec as like just over 100. And I thought, why would they say this? So I did research. I've been doing a lot of research on him for a long time. What would happen with him was he would go to a city and say, I'll take on all comers tonight in 6 round or 4 round matches. So 5 people would sign
Right.
up to fight him. And if you went more
Right.
than a round, you got $50. But also,
Right.
when he was in New York and he fought a fight, he wanted to make more money. So he knocked a guy out. And then that night, he traveled 10 miles to Binghamton or somewhere else and he'd fight under another name to make more money. And so,
Wow. All right.
some of these guys are fighting 5-6 times a week. And a guy like Dixon was smart enough to know I'm the best at my weight in the world at featherweight, but my no career is a long career. So I
Right.
got to make as much as I can while I can. Plus, being black, his manager was taking most of his money.
Right.
So he would do this a lot. A lot of guys back then had a lot more fights than we know of that are recorded. And the reason they're not in the newspaper is because boxing was illegal then in most states in all over Canada. So if a newspaper covered it, you could get arrested. So it's very difficult back then. Only the Police Gazette covered it. So these
Right.
guys fought
like,
hundreds.
like guys, you look at a guy like Julio Cesar Chavez Sr., right? Chavez Sr., right? Okay, so Floyd Mayweather's what? The best boxer of all time, apparently, whatever they say, which is a complete crock or whatever you want to call it. But Chavez was 89-0, as we know, Lou, right?
Yeah.
Won 89-0, not 49-0, 89-0, right? But in Mexico, as you know, things are completely different down there, right? You know what I mean? Those guys were fighting sometimes, and I did a few shows on it. They were fighting in grocery stores, Lou. They were fighting in back alleys. They were fighting in makeshift fights on a piece of dirty land or somewhere on a farm or something. And all these fights were never documented. Do you understand? Right? Because they just didn't have the facility to do that. And so these guys who were like Chavez, who's 89-0, apparently, what do you have, like 100 knockouts or something? Eventually, Lou, over 100, something crazy, right? Yeah. He actually had probably 30 or 40 fights more, maybe more, but they were never documented.
Most people, there's a lot of myth about him. He did have an amateur career, not a long one. His family, I spoke to Bernard Osuna about this. His family lived in a boxcar, an abandoned boxcar of a freight train, and his older brothers boxed, and the family was starving. So he turned pro. Turned pro at 16 or 17 because they needed the money.
Yeah.
And he learned on the job through experience, but that was not uncommon for Mexican fighters and for a lot of fighters. Ricardo Mayorga, who was Nicaraguan, lived in a hole in the side of a mountain because he was broke. There's no such thing as government assistance in Nicaragua.
Right.
If you're broke, you're broke.
No.
Yeah.
Well, that's it. That's what I'm saying. So it just, we hear all these things about, this guy's, pound for pound, the best fighter of all time. And this is Chavez Sr., who have unblemished records of 89-0 until they lost a fight. You know what I'm saying? But they don't get the same recognition as a guy like Floyd Mayweather, and I'll just never understand that.
Well, the thing that confuses me is when I read about a fight, I'll read about the original Jack Dempsey, the middleweight champ, and he fought this Torontonian, George Fuljamis, and he knocked him out in 18 rounds. I can't find it anywhere. I can't find it on BoxRec. I can't find it on each individual's record. I found some contemporary reports in the United States from newspapers, but none in Toronto, that the fight. And then BoxRec says the fight was rumored. So we don't know if it came off, but the newspaper reporters that were there said it did come off. So it's hard to say one way or the other. And that's even up to today. There's some fights on Cheval's record where you look on BoxRec and they'll say, we don't know if this fight actually occurred or not. And when I asked George 10 years ago, he said, I can't remember, to be honest with you.
Well, yeah.
There were some interesting things that Zhilai Zhang said. I just want to backtrack just a second here because he held a press conference in New York City this past week with respect to his upcoming fight against Joe Joyce. And you guys had mentioned earlier Joe Joyce and whether he could move or not. But the point matter is Zhang basically gave a brief update on his training camp. And he said, Joyce is so active and he hits hard. But when it comes to sparring, this is what Zhang said. I'm working with Alonzo Neal, who throws more punches than Joyce, Dimitri Bezos, who hits harder than Joyce, and Marius Walk, who's 300 pounds and bigger than Joyce. So keep in mind, Alonzo Neal is the 2023 National Golden Gloves finalist. Bezos is a 10-1 professional fighter, and Walk is, as we know, well-respected veteran who challenged, former champ Vladimir Klitschko, and shared the ring with contenders Gerald Miller, Alexander Povetkin, Martin Bacoli, Dillian White, and Huey Fury. So Zhang's fighting these guys on various levels because he knows who he's up against. And I just don't think Joyce takes it. I'm not going to say takes it seriously, but you don't hear anything like that from Joyce's camp. In other words, I mean, and then and the British wonder why Joyce got beaten in the first place. Why? Because this boy Zhang, he's not stupid. He's not just a big dumb heavyweight. This guy he knows what he's doing, and he's being trained well.
Calculated moves that the entire camp is making.
Yeah.
And Zhang's got 2 billion people he can't let down. He has no choice. He can't lose because he would disgrace his people. The way he feels, I'd rather die than lose. I cannot lose.
He almost died in that one fight. His kidneys were shutting down, remember?
Yeah.
He had to be dragged out of the ring.
Mm-hmm.
He was so
dehydrated. And he had that one fight. Was it against Herkovic or whoever it was that he beat, but he didn't get the decision?
Yeah.
And they just ripped him off on that. But Joyce doesn't seem to be a wanna. There doesn't seem to be an essential
fire.
And I gotta beat him.
Yeah, I don't see the hunger either. And he came out with a completely different game plan against Zhang than we have seen in previous fights from him. It wasn't the same. He was a little more trim. He tried to play behind the jab a lot more. He was playing a completely different game. And he was trying to outbox Zhang, who is by far a better technician than
you go with what got you there. If you're Mickey Mantle, you don't start trying to bunt to get on base. You swing for the fences every time up. And Joyce is a power puncher who can weather the storm and get in there. And he couldn't get by his jab. He was boxing technically, and that's not his skill.
No. Yeah.
He's got to shorten it up, get in there, and let his hands go.
Yeah, and be the juggernaut. Be what he's called. Do that. Just run in, mash him, and leave. That's it. That's what he's supposed to do. He's supposed to come in, run through the house, and that's it.
That's exactly it. He lives by his power and he dies by it. So use it.
Yeah. Like, you already showed us you got a chin. Instead, you sat there and decided to try and outbox a guy who has pinpoint accuracy with that left hand.
Right.
Yeah, and Gil Clancy used to say, the guy's punch you in the face, at least throw a punch back to let him know you're there.
Yeah.
At least hit him back. It's supposed to be a fight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So guys, I just wanted to ask, because Graham seems to be the expert on this one, but Graham, can I ask you something about is it Michaela Mayer fighting this weekend?
Against the Belgian.
Yeah. Yeah, Ben. So what, Graham, you've always liked her style, right? Mayer, I believe, right? And I checked her out quite a bit, and I think she's a really good fighter. What do you guys think about that? Like, I mean, the women are really making a dent here this year, and next year going forward, I'm really looking forward to all these great women's cards where, we were never able to watch them because they were never, as Lou would tell you, they never got any traction anywhere, right? But now they seem to be getting traction. Graham, what do you think about her and some of these fights that are coming up?
Yeah, no, certainly. I actually think Mayer's going to win this one. I mean, she's had some tough battles over the past year, I got to say. But realistically, here she's a good, strong fighter. Didn't you say was it Mike? Was it Thorsland who fought today?
Dina Thorsland.
Thorsland, she fought today.
Yeah.
So there are women fighting around the world, and we've reported on this endlessly, that tend to get ignored. But I'm glad to see Michaela Mayer on the undercard. She deserves to be on the undercard on this fight.
Yeah.
But will she win? Yeah, she'll win.
She did say too, Graham, apparently that she's decided that after this fight, she's going to move up another weight class. She's going to go into 147, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's a number of fighters who are
You know, she's not worried about what she did in the past. She's actually moving forward and want to get into some bigger and stronger competition. So
Right,
she's not
right.
worried about Baumgartner. She's not worried about all the girls that she's already fought. She's moving up one chunk. I think she's going to welterweight maybe, and they're right. And she's super lightweight or something.
Yeah.
147 Lou is welterweight. Right, Lou, I guess 147 Lou.
Yeah, that's welter, but
Yeah.
I think she's very good technically and great jab, and she comes in behind her jab.
Yeah.
I it's not that I'm not a fan of it. I just don't watch much women's boxing, but she's very good. She's technically sound. She packs a good punch, and she's smart. She's smart to move up, and she's also smart to put Alicia Baumgartner behind her because
Right.
you can't dwell on that forever. You know, you got to move forward.
That's
And
right.
and that's what she said. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
You know, Bernard Hopkins got ripped off, I thought, twice with the Jermaine Taylor fights. Maybe not the first one, but the second one. And he just said, you know, why dwell on it? Just move forward.
Right.
That's it. No, it's over. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
I've just been informed that my cat has brought a mouse in the house.
Oh,
Which brings us to the hour mark. So
yes, but also I wanted to let you guys know Thorslin did unify the WBO and WBC title earlier today at 2 p.m. Eastern time. So yeah, that's bantamweight. She is now holding the WBO and WBC titles. So yeah, take that, guys.
no,
good on her.
she's a good fighter.
Yeah, she is. So yeah, that is the end of our show. Again, Grumpy Graham, Lou, Neil, thanks again. To all the fans out there, thanks for tuning in to today's episode of the Friday Night Panel. We will see you next week, same time, same channel, new topics, guys. See you later. Peace.
Peace.
Peace.